The biggest moments. Listen to Craig Stammen's post-game comments. Plus, we'll bring you today's play of the game. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
Welcome into our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. Final score in Chicago today, the Cubs 9 and the Padres 7, as the Padres have dropped the first two games of this series in Chicago, first two games of this 7-game road trip. The Padres, unfortunately, have now lost 4 consecutive games. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We'll recap this game from start to finish. We have all the radio highlights for you. We'll go back to Wrigley Field in Chicago. Hear from Craig Stammen. Padres fall to 43-41 with the defeat. The Cubs improved to 48-38. Look, there were certainly good things about this game. The Padres hit 4 home runs. Fernando Tatis Jr. had 2 of them. First multi-home run game of the season for Fernando. The Padres, after trailing 9-3, they found a way to make it a close game. They found a way to get the tying run to the plate in the 8th inning. But with all that said, I do think the main headline from this game continues the Padres searching for starting pitching. And J.P. Sears had a really rough outing after what was a promising season debut in the major leagues against Atlanta last week. 5 2/3 innings, 2 runs given up. You did have some hope that was a sign of things to come for J.P. Sears, and it was just not that way in Chicago today. Sears giving up 4 runs in the second inning alone, 5 runs in the first 2 innings. His final line today, 4 2/3 innings, 7 runs, 6 earned given up. And the Cubs hit 5 home runs in this game. First time the Padres had given up 5 home runs in a game since 2024. And again, the Padres had 4 of them. And this game, quite frankly, played out like you thought yesterday would. Remember, we talked so much in the pregame yesterday about the wind blowing out, about this being sort of that classic midsummer wind blowing out type of high-scoring game at Wrigley Field. Yesterday, it was not that. The final score was 3-2. Today, it certainly was that, and I'm not saying all the home runs were wind-aided. They weren't. There were some absolutely crushed balls in this game, including the leadoff home run from Fernando Tatis Jr., but bottom line is you had 9 combined home runs in this game, and the Cubs had 5 of them. The Padres had 4 of them, and again, you look at the starting pitching today for the Padres, J.P. Sears, with a tough outing and another outing from a Padres starting pitcher, where you get a guy who does not go 5 innings. It has been way too frequent of an occurrence for this ball club as of late. The Padres bullpen did a pretty good job in this game. I mean, Ron Marinaccio gave you length. Wandy Peralta kept you right in the game. And I think really all you could ask from that group. But anytime you fall behind 9-3 after 5 innings, it's going to be, or in this case, it was 6 innings. It's going to be a very tough hill to climb. And the Padres climbed up it quite a bit with the 4 runs in the 8th inning. But ultimately, that 6-run deficit when it was 9-3 ends up being too much for the Padres offense to overcome. And now they'll hand the ball to arguably this team's best starting pitcher over the course of the last month and a half, Walker Buehler, tomorrow, and a day tomorrow. And we'll talk about it plenty pregame tomorrow. A day tomorrow where the Padres could really use a good start from Walker Buehler. They could use to give this bullpen a rest. And, beyond anything, when you get good starting pitching, it just gives you a better chance to win. And I guess the good news is that you're handing the guy, the ball rather, to a guy in Walker Buehler tomorrow, who I think right now you have as much confidence in as anybody in this rotation. He's been consistent. He's been good. And it does feel like it's going to be a big start for Walker Buehler tomorrow as the Padres now try to avoid a 3-game sweep at Wrigley Field. When we come back, we'll recap this game from start to finish. We'll hear from Craig Stammen coming up a little bit later as well. Cubs 9, Padres 7, the final score. Our postgame coverage continues after this. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score here today, the Cubs 9 and the Padres 7. Still a lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll head back to Wrigley Field on the north side of Chicago. Hear from Craig Stammen in just a little bit. Hey, player with epic SoCal views, a full bar, and poolside bites. Starlight Pool at Jamul Casino Resort is pool season perfected, and day passes are available. Jamul Casino Resort, the Players' Place. Well, yesterday, the wind blowing out at Wrigley, we had a pretty low-scoring game, 3-2, the final score. Today, quite a different story. Let's recap this game from start to finish.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
Matthew Boyd took the mound for the Cubs in the top half of the first inning. Fernando Tatis Jr. led off for San Diego.
2-2. Fernando launches it in the air, deep to left field. Happ is going back to watch. This one gonna go all the way out to Waveland Avenue in left field. Fernando Tatis, a leadoff home run here in the first. And the Padres hop on Matthew Boyd. It's 1-0.
That's all Boyd allowed in the top half of the inning. J.P. Sears took the mound in the bottom half of the first inning. There was a runner on second after Fernando Tatis Jr. committed a throwing error after a fielder's choice. That allowed Seiya Suzuki to go to second base. That error ended up being pretty costly because Carson Kelly was next.
They made first pitch swinging, ground ball up the middle into center. That's a base hit. Suzuki will round third. He'll come in to score. And Carson Kelly, an RBI single to tie the game. 1-1 here in the bottom of the first inning.
We still had a 1-1 game going to the bottom half of the second. The second batter of the inning against J.P. Sears was Dansby Swanson.
Swanson swings, hits it in the air, high and deep to left center field. You can forget it. Dansby Swanson well into the bleachers. His 12th home run of the season. And the Cubs have gone ahead 2-1 here in the bottom of the second inning.
Cubs, unfortunately, not done. Sears allowed a single, then a walk. That brought up Alex Bregman.
Here's the pitch on the way. Bregman swings, hits it a mile to deep left field. Taylor goes back, but he's got no shot. It's a 3-run home run for Alex Bregman. A no-doubter to the bleachers in left field. Got a cutter top of the zone. He did not miss. And the Cubs now lead 5-1 here in the second inning.
Cubs scoring 4 runs in the second. The Cubs led 5-1. Padres, though, answered in the top of the third. Freddie Fermin hit a leadoff double with 2 outs, and Fermin still on base. Manny Machado dug in.
And he swings, sends it in the air to deep right field again. Alcantara racing back to the corner. He'll look up, and it's going to go into the basket. A 2-run homer. Manny Machado with the second Padre home run of the night. And he has tightened things up. It's 5-3 here in the top of the third.
So Manny answering the 2-run shot to right. Padres trailed 5-3 through 4. J.P. Sears back on the mound for the Padres in the bottom half of the fifth inning. The second batter of the frame was Michael Busch.
Lefty swings at the first pitch, hits it a mile in the air to right field. Bowen is back to watch. This one gonna go out to Sheffield. Saw Tatis at Waveland in the first, and now Busch to Sheffield in the fifth. Up over the last row of the bleachers in right. And the Cubs have added on 6-3.
Yeah, it didn't get better. Sears' night ended when he gave up a 2-out single to Ian Happ. Ron Marinaccio came in. He allowed a 2-run home run to Dansby Swanson. Swanson's second home run of the night. It was an 8-3 Chicago lead. Marinaccio returned for the sixth inning. He gave up a solo shot to Pete Crow Armstrong. That made it 9-3. The Cubs' fifth home run of the game just 6 innings in. It would stay 9-3 for a while. Matt Boyd pitched into the sixth inning. He allowed just the 3 runs. Meanwhile, Marinaccio pitched into the seventh. Wandy Peralta finished the inning. They kept it 9-3. Javier Assad was on the mound for the Cubs in the top of the eighth inning. Padres still trailing 9-3. Assad issued a leadoff walk. Xander Bogaerts hit a 1-out single. That brought up Gavin Sheets.
Next pitch, Sheets swings, hits it in the air, deep to right field. Dean is back. This one gonna go. Gavin Sheets, a 3-run homer. Third of the night for the Padres. And don't go anywhere. It's 9-6.
So all of a sudden, the Padres had life. Couple of batters later, it was Fernando Tatis Jr.
Tatis swings, sends it in the air to right field. That's deep. Dean is going back. He is on the track. He's at the wall, leaps up. This one gonna go! Fernando, opposite field, into the basket. Padres have hit their 4th home run of the night. Tatis is second, and it's 9-7.
So things getting very, very interesting. They would get even more interesting when Assad walks Samad Taylor. That brought the tying run to the plate, and Manny Machado, Cubs manager Craig Counsell, finally went to get Assad out of the game. He brought in right-hander Tyler Ferguson to face Machado. Ferguson struck out Manny to end the inning. The Cubs still had a 9-7 lead. Wandy Peralta did a really good job. He got through the 8th inning scoreless. That brought us to the top of the 9th inning, a 9-7 Cubs lead. Tyler Ferguson, the right-hander, stayed on. He would face Miguel Andujar and Ty France. He got both those guys to fly out. So 2 outs, nobody on. With the left-handed hitting Jackson Merrill coming up, Craig Counsell went to left-hander Ryan Rollison. Rollison got a final out from Jackson Merrill. It was another fly out to left field. In fact, all 3 outs in the 9th inning, fly outs to left to Ian Happ, and that was the ball game. It was Ferguson and Rollison combining for a 1-2-3 top of the 9th inning. Rollison getting the save, and that was that here tonight. Final score, Cubs 9 and the Padres 7. Cubs trailed, or I should say Padres trailed by as many as 6, down 9-3 at one point. They did make it 9-7, but that was as close as the Padres would get. Final totals here tonight for the Padres: 7 runs, 13 hits, 1 error. For the Cubs, 9 runs, 13 hits, no errors. Cubs improved to 48-38. They have won 4 in a row. The Padres dropped to 43-41. They have now dropped 4 in a row, and the Padres now looking to avoid a sweep at the hands of the Cubs at Wrigley Field tomorrow as they wrap up the first part of this 7-game road trip. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. Again, the final score today, Cubs 9 and the Padres 7. You're listening to the Padres Radio Network. We continue our post-game coverage here on the Padres Radio Network. Welcome back into our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We'll head back to Wrigley Field in Chicago, hear from Craig Stammen in just a moment, so stay tuned for that. We also have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming your way. If you want to get a phone call in, phone number is always 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 as the Padres fall 9-7 in Chicago today. Padres dropping the first two games of this series against the Cubs. They've dropped 4 in a row, and now they'll try to avoid a sweep tomorrow at Wrigley Field. It was a tough outing for JP Sears. He went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 5 runs in the first 2 innings of this game. Ultimately, 7 runs given up, 6 earned. He allowed 3 home runs, 8 hits. Ron Marinaccio threw a lot of pitches to get 5 outs in an inning and 2/3. He threw 50 pitches in this game. Wandy Peralta, very good out of the bullpen, keeping it close once the Padres mounted a rally, certainly with the 4 runs in the top of the 8th inning. But ultimately, the 5 home runs, the 9 runs scored by the Cubs through the first 6 innings of this game was insurmountable for the Padres offense to overcome. Matthew Boyd for the Cubs today, pretty solid 5 innings, 3 runs given up, did give up 2 home runs among the 8 hits that he allowed. And again, I think it's pretty not simple right now, but the Padres are having major starting pitching issues, and it's not just effectiveness, it's also on many nights a lack of length. And unfortunately, you were hoping JP Sears could follow up that really nice outing against the Braves last week with another good one here today. Just didn't quite happen. Again, he gave up 7 runs, 6 earned, and couldn't get through 5 innings. And the Padres are just not getting very much length out of their starting pitching right now at all. It's requiring them to use the bullpen a ton, and unfortunately, that aspect of the ball game tonight was really a similar story to what we've seen. Look, if you want to take silver lining out of this one, certainly the offense. I mean, the fact that they hit 4 home runs, the fact that they had 13 hits total, the fact that Fernando Tatis Jr. had a long home run to start the game, the fact that he had another home run later, his first multi-home run game of the season. All those things are good things, but not enough as the Padres end the month of June with a loss here tonight before we flip the calendar to July. With all that in mind, let's go back to Wrigley Field in Chicago and hear from Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Yeah. Probably what we expected last night. We got it tonight. Balls were zipping out of there. Home runs. So it ends up how many other guys you put on base, when those home runs are hit is kind of what the story of the game is.
When it is like that, JP is falling behind a lot and then having to go in the middle of the zone. How much do you look at that where he could have controlled that better?
Yeah, that's the hardest part. And when the environment is the way it is, you really have to control counts. You have to put it in your favor and then be able to make pitches and expand the zone as you go. The other way around is you're shrinking the zone, and throwing it in there. Both pitchers, whenever they got behind, it was a tough night to pitch.
Can you just talk a little bit more in general about how difficult it is to really pitch in these conditions?
Yeah, you got to keep the ball down. It's tough to be a fly ball pitcher, when the wind's howling out the way it was. And, we're seeing balls that are hit 90 miles an hour go all the way to the wall and some that are 95 go out pretty easily. So it's definitely a tough night to pitch, but they got to do it too. And, we got to find a way to scratch a few more runs or get more guys on base and then do damage. Just, similar to what Sheets did there. The second time he came up to the plate, that was a huge hit, got us back in the game and gave us a chance.
And then Fernando's home run moves him to 4th all-time in Padres leaderboard for home runs. How cool is that to see at his age to be able to put himself in that, on that list with those names?
Yeah, Fernando's a great player. And, we're starting to see him kind of come out of that no power kind of funk that he was in earlier. And, love the at-bats that he's taken. The one in the first inning was a really amazing at-bat. He showed patience and then also power in the same at-bat. And you just feel like anytime that he's at the plate when he's swinging like that, he can leave the yard. And as evidence of being 4th overall on the Padres all-time list.
Did you figure once that ball left like it did, this would be a different night?
Yeah, I mean, I know you get up 1-0 early, the wind's blowing out. You got to keep tacking on runs. That's kind of what I thought. I was like, all right, good, we got the first run. We scored first. That's usually a good indicator of, us having a chance to win the game. And we unfortunately gave up a run in our first, with an error and a couple base hits. But in the end, they just got a few more guys on base and hit their homers with guys on base.
You guys have played pretty good defense recently, in particular. When you make a mistake, it costs you just a little shoddy, whether it's errors or not.
Yeah.
What are you making of the fielding right now?
Yeah, I think I don't know if we're still number one in least amount of errors in the big leagues. I know we haven't made a ton. And that's, to me shows that we're a pretty darn good defensive team. And, we've played very sound defense this entire year. When we do make a mistake, it's kind of shocking and it's glaring because it doesn't happen very often. And part of that is pitching, is knowing how to bear down when somebody makes a mistake and pick them up and figure out a way to get out of that inning. It's not easy to do. Don't get me wrong. It's not like something you can just like snap your fingers and do. But, we're a team. When one guy makes a mistake, we've got to pick each other up.
You talked about Fernando's at-bat, but as a whole, what did you make of the quality of at-bats that you guys had tonight?
Yeah, 13 hits. I think they had 13 hits also. So we hit right with them. They had a few more walks than we did. We're definitely hitting better than what we have been, but now the pitching's got to match it. And when we get those two clicking together, we should be in good shape.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen. Here on the Padres radio network from Wrigley Field in Chicago following this 9-7 loss for the Padres against the Chicago Cubs. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we continue to wrap this one up. Want to chew on a couple of things that Craig was asked about there. Number one, with that home run, Fernando Tatis Jr., the second home run in the 8th inning, with that home run, Fernando moved past Phil Nevin for 4th place all-time in the Padres home run list. So the top 4 now in Padres franchise history. Manny is the top of the list with 209. Nate Colbert with 163. Adrian Gonzalez with 161. And then Fernando is sitting at 157. So if Fernando keeps up more of the pace he's been on lately, where he is hitting the home runs with some more regularity, I would think a very good chance he passes both Gonzalez and Colbert by the end of this season. He needs 7 more to pass both of them. And then, it would be kind of interesting and impressive that, you'd have 2 active Padres as the top 2 franchise home run leaders in Manny and Tatis. And I mean, quite frankly, it's certainly heading that way. Fernando's going to get there pretty soon, if not by the end of the season. Who knows? It might be in the next month or two if he starts hitting some home runs with the regularity that he used to hit them. But again, Fernando hitting career home runs, 156 and 157 tonight, and with 157 past Phil Nevin for 4th place on the Padres all-time home run list. I thought it was an interesting question there from Kevin Acee in the post game, because he was talking about the Padres defense. Now, the defense has been really good all year. It really has. I mean, that has been, if you want to look at, the things the Padres have done extremely well all year, I think the 2 obvious things are, number 1, their bullpen's been great, and number 2, their defense has been great. In this series in Chicago, it's been shakier, and it has played a role in these losses. Now, yesterday, remember, the winning run, not the winning run, but the inning starts yesterday in the 9th inning in a 2-2 game with Manny being unable to make that play on the Dansby Swanson ground ball. And, look, if Manny makes that play, it's 1 out with nobody on in the 9th inning. And then, who knows how that inning ends up for Jason Adam and Mason Miller. But that was a part of that 9th inning, the fact that Manny couldn't make that play to his left, couldn't make a clean transfer. And that's a play that I think Manny would tell you he's got to make, and he probably makes 99 times out of 100. Wasn't an error. It was an infield single for Swanson, but we saw it yesterday. That was part of what happened in that 9th inning. Today, you looked at the error by Fernando in the 1st inning. Now, that was a fielder's choice. They go to Fernando for the force out at second. He makes a throw to first base. It's wild. Seiya Suzuki not only is safe at first base, but Fernando hit the netting with his throw. So that automatically meant it was out of play. Suzuki's awarded second base, and then Carson Kelly hits a seeing eye single, and Suzuki comes in to score. I mean, if Fernando puts that ball in his pocket, if Fernando just makes a better throw but still doesn't double up Suzuki, guess what? He's on first base. He's not scoring on that Kelly hit. Now, is that why the Padres lost this game? Is that why J.P. Sears had a rough outing? No. But Padres were up 1-0 in the first inning, and there's a world where they don't give up a run in the first inning. And you know what? This ended up being a 2-run loss. 2-run, game. So every run did really matter. And certainly in this series so far, when the Padres have made defensive miscues and mistakes, it has come back to bite them. I mean, you could even look at yesterday. Now, I'm not trying to get on Samad Taylor because this was tough with the win yesterday. He's playing up against the Ivy at Wrigley. It wasn't easy. But, Samad with the wind can't make the play in left field. Again, I'm not blaming Samad for that. That was a tough play with the wind. Up against the Ivy. I'm not sure that there was really any world that he was going to make that catch with the wind and where it landed. But look, if you want to put at least a sliver of the blame on Samad for that play, well, it did aid in the Cubs scoring another run in what was, a 1-run game at the end of it. So, yeah, when the Padres have made defensive miscues in this series so far, they've had to pay for it. And that has certainly been uncharacteristic of the Padres defense throughout the year. When we come back, we'll get into our daily awards. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming your way in a little bit as well. Final score here tonight, Cubs 9, Padres 7. Our postgame coverage continues after this. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Hey, player, the rooftop pool's open, day passes are available, and the spa is calling your name. Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score tonight, the Cubs 9 and the Padres 7. Padres have dropped 4 in a row. Cubs have won 4 in a row. Padres will try to avoid a sweep tomorrow at Wrigley Field. And, well, the good news is they'll give the ball to Walker Buehler, who's been as good as anybody as far as a Padres starting pitcher. Certainly, maybe the highs have not been as great as Michael King this season, but, last month and a half has Walker not been this team's most consistent starter. He has been. So they do give the ball to Walker Buehler tomorrow. Colin Ray on the mound for the Cubs. We'll talk more about tomorrow's game coming up in a little bit here today. Unfortunately, it was from a pitching standpoint, a little bit of the same old story. Another Padres starting pitcher struggling to give him length. J.P. Sears going just 4 2/3 innings, 6 earned runs given up, 7 total. 3 home runs. The walks hurt him a little bit, too. 3 walks, 8 hits total allowed. Ron Marinaccio gave up a couple of home runs. Wandy Peralta was really good. Let's tell you more about Wandy as we talk about our relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, brought to you by San Diego criminal defense attorney David P. Shapiro. We help good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. Learn more at davidpshapirolaw.com.
Relief pitcher of the game, well, it's Wandy Peralta. I don't think there's much debate about it. Wandy was good out of the Padres bullpen today. Inning and 2/3 scoreless, did give up a couple of hits in the 8th inning, but found a way out of that 8th inning scoreless, and at that time kept it a 2-run deficit, right? I mean, Wandy came in the bottom of the 7th, and it was a 9-3 game. Gets 2 outs. He comes back in for the 8th inning after the Padres scored 4 runs and made it a 2-run deficit, and he puts together a scoreless inning. So had the Padres come back to tie, come back to win this game, I mean, those are huge, huge outs for Wandy Peralta, who, by the way, continues to just be marvelous for this bullpen. I mean, Wandy's got a 1.62 ERA on the year. Now, in 37 appearances, this is not small sample size type of stuff. I mean, Wandy has been so consistently good. And you want to know something? Here on the final day of June, Wandy Peralta did not give up a run all month in 14 appearances, 18 scoreless innings. He went the month of June without giving up a run. I mean, Wandy, in any situation he's been given this year, and especially as of late, has been dynamite. I mean, whether it's a game like today where they're trailing, whether it's been in an opener role, you name it. I mean, again, we've talked about him. We've talked about Matsui, what they've done to make this bullpen even deeper outside the, quote unquote, high leverage group, guys like Miller and Adam and Morahone. I mean, what these guys have done, Peralta and Matsui, has been so, so big for this bullpen. It has lengthened this bullpen, and I think given Craig Stammen a lot of versatility and optionality for what he can do from a left-handed reliever perspective. So, look, the bullpen, I know Marinaccio gave up a couple of home runs, but this bullpen continues to be great, right? That's something to hang your hat on if you're a Padres fan. This bullpen continues to be great. I think the issue continues to be the Padres just aren't playing from ahead enough where they can give this bullpen a lead enough times during the course of a series, a week, a month, whatever it is, to go give it to them and say, go get us home with a win. I mean, it does feel like most of the time when you give this bullpen a lead, they'll get you home with a win. The problem is the Padres, and this has been a problem all year, they just don't play from ahead enough. And part of that, and tonight was a very good example of it, part of that is the starting pitching has not been great, and especially as of late. And when you're giving up 5 runs in 2 innings like J.P. Sears did today, you're giving up 7 runs in, the first, 4 2/3 innings of his outing today. It's just tough. You're not getting the most out of your bullpen because you're not playing from ahead. So that continues it should be a priority for the Padres to figure out how to play from ahead more, because this bullpen is so good top to bottom. when you give them a lead, for the most part, they're shutting the door and getting you home with a win. Let's step aside. When we come back, we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for tomorrow's game series finale at Wrigley Field. Final score again, Cubs 9 and the Padres 7 on the Padres Radio Network. Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score today, the Cubs 9 and the Padres 7 as the Padres drop their fourth consecutive game. They will try to bounce back tomorrow with right-hander Walker Buehler on the mound. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Let's tell you about today's out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
Everything has gone final aside from three games. The Mariners lead the Angels 5-3 in Seattle in the seventh inning. Dodgers ahead of the A's in Sacramento 9-3. The D-backs lead the Giants 8-2 in Arizona. Final scores today. White Sox beat the Orioles 9-3 in Baltimore. The White Sox just continue to roll. They are now 6 games above 500 at 45-39. Phillies blanked the Pirates 8-0. Christopher Sanchez, another really good outing. He struck out 9 in 7 scoreless innings. First starter to reach 10 wins this season in the National League. The Rangers beat the Guardians 4-2 in Cleveland. The Tigers beat the Yankees 9-3 in New York. Cam Schlittler got roughed up in that game. I want to check this. Have the Yankees lost 6 in a row? I want to say it's 6 in a row. Give me a second here. Is it 6? Yeah, it's 6 in a row now. Yankees have dropped, so they're going through it a little bit right now. All right, Tigers beat the Yankees 9-3 in the Bronx. The Mets beat the Blue Jays in Toronto 3-0. Nationals beat the Red Sox 8-1 at Fenway. C.J. Abrams hit his 18th home run of the year in that game. Cardinals beat the Braves 5-3 in Atlanta. Nathan Church and Nelson Velasquez hitting home runs in that game for St. Louis. Braves continue to struggle. They really have not played well going back to that and really before the series against the Padres, but including that sweep by the Padres at Petco Park last week. Brewers beat the Reds 7-2 in Milwaukee. Jake Bauers, Jackson Chourio hit home runs in that game for the Brew Crew. The Rays beat the Royals in Kansas City 10-4. Junior Caminero, young superstar, 23rd home run of the year. He is now homered in 5 consecutive games. Astros beat the Twins 6-4 in Houston. Speaking of stars, Jordan Alvarez hit his 26th home run of the year in that one. And the Marlins beat the Rockies 14-3 in Colorado. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Tuesday. Well, if you needed any more reason to, what word do I use here? Believe, understand? You could probably use either word. We'll use understand. We'll use, if you needed more reason to believe that this is a very, very important stretch for the Padres leading up to the All-Star break. And again, they're not going to have an off day before the break. They're in the midst of 17 games in 17 days leading into the break. And then not to mention out of the break, they got a very tough schedule, with a lack of off days coming up out of the break. But I think this stretch in particular is tough because they're playing 17 games in 17 days. And it's against some really good competition, right? Dodgers, then you're playing the Cubs right now, Dodgers for 4 in LA, and then the Diamondbacks and Blue Jays at home next week. I'm not trying to be alarmist here. I'm not trying to, be a Debbie Downer, give you bad news. There's a long way to go. It's July 1st tomorrow. We got a lot of baseball left. However, if you needed reason to believe that this stretch leading up to the break is really, really important for this team, at the end of tonight, the Padres are going to be 2 games out of a playoff spot. Now, 2 games is nothing. It's nothing. I mean, we got half a season left. It's nothing. However, I guess what I'm trying to say is with this stretch of games against some good competition, and you're not going to have an off day, the Padres, they have to start playing, I think, overall, and this is starting pitching included, have to start playing a little bit better. This is not the time that you want to go into a swoon because you're playing some really good teams, and I don't know that you could afford to do it right now. The point I'm trying to make is, remember that stretch where the Padres, were not playing well and, whatever it was at this point, I'd have to go look at this point. It was losing 10 out of 11, something like that. You have a stretch like that, and you're playing some good teams here coming up, you could very, very quickly fall quite a bit behind in the wild card race and also have a number of teams between you and a playoff spot. Keep in mind, the Nationals are a half game behind the Padres. The Pirates are 1 game back. The Arizona Diamondbacks are 1 game back. They're playing right now. They win tonight. They're going to be 2.5 back. Those are 3 teams right there that at the moment are within a game of the Padres, who are already 2 games out. So, I think the point is, I'm not trying to be alarmist here, is you have got to start winning some games, really, no matter who the competition is and whatever the off-day situation is. Because I'm just telling you, based on the standings right now, you don't play well for a couple of weeks, you could all of a sudden have quite a little hill to climb as far as a playoff spot and as far as teams between you and that playoff spot. I'll leave it there. Makes tomorrow's game that much more important. And, look, another not so great aspect of this series so far, the Padres have now lost the season series to the Cubs. So the Cubs, they sit in the top wild card spot. If the Cubs and Padres tied at the end of the year for seeding or a final spot in the playoffs. So guess what? The Cubs now have the tiebreaker with the season series win. They're 4-1 against the Padres this year. So that's another not so good element of the outcome the first 2 days of this series in Chicago. Let's end this on a little positive note, shall we? Let's hear today's play of the game.
One bounce, one hit, one pitch can be the difference between victory and defeat. What was the most important play in today's game? This is today's play of the game. Presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Restoration and Flood. We know how.
Tatis swings, sends it in the air to right field. That's deep. Dean is going back. He is on the track. He's at the wall, leaps up. This one's going to go! Fernando, opposite field, into the basket. Padres have hit their 4th home run of the night. Tatis is second, and it's 9-7.
Fernando Tatis Jr. providing tonight's play of the game. See, I told you we would end on a positive. Fernando, his first multi-home run game of the season, the solo shot in the first inning onto Waveland Avenue beyond left field in Chicago. The solo home run again in the 8th inning to make it a 2-run deficit. Fernando providing a lot of power today. First multi-home run game of the year. Home runs number 4 and 5 on the season for Fernando, and hopefully a sign of things to come for Fernando in the power department. And as we said earlier, Fernando, with that home run, the second one, he passed Phil Nevin for 4th place all time on the Padres franchise all-time home run list. So, you know what? I looked at Hamby during the break, and we came to the consensus of, you know what? We're going with the Padre play for play of the game. Enough is enough. Padre play for play of the game. We're not doing this again in a loss, giving it to the opposition. We're going to end with a little positivity. Certainly a silver lining tonight that Fernando hit a couple of home runs. Hopefully more tomorrow in Chicago for Fernando Tatis Jr. Speaking of tomorrow, final game of this 3-game series as the Padres will look to salvage the series finale at Wrigley Field. Pitching matchup tomorrow, right-hander Walker Buehler on the mound for the Padres, right-hander Colin Ray on the mound for the Chicago Cubs. First pitch tomorrow early at 11:20 a.m. Our pregame coverage will begin at 10:20 from inside our San Diego studios. As always, if you missed any portion of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcast. You can also go back on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel and watch any portion of our post-game show there as well. Of course, our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show, The Players' Place. Taking a look at the final totals here today for the Cubs, 9 runs, 13 hits, no errors. They left on 9. For the Padres, 7 runs, 13 hits, 1 error. They left on 8. Matthew Boyd, the winning pitcher, he's now 3-1. J.P. Sears, the losing pitcher, he's 1-1. The save goes to Ryan Rollison, his first save of 2026. Time of game, 3 hours and 7 minutes. And the crowd at Wrigley Field tonight in Chicago, 36,279. Once again, first pitch tomorrow, 11:20 a.m. Our pregame coverage begins at 10:20. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Jeff Hamby, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night from inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score here tonight, the Chicago Cubs 9 and the San Diego Padres 7. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great night, everybody.